Abuse of power and White House cover-up. That's what Democrats claim they uncovered today as the impeachment case against President Trump took a dramatic turn on Capitol Hill.
KCAL 9's Tom Wade is live in the Satellite Center with all the developments. And Tom, how's the president reacting tonight?
Well, Juan and Sharon, as you just touched on, the president is slamming Democrats and attacking the whistleblower. And at a private event, he said whoever spoke to the whistleblower about the call may be a traitor. The whistleblower's complaint centers in part on President Trump's phone call with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky back on July 25th. That call summary was released yesterday. Today we learned new stunning details surrounding the call and allegations of a cover-up.
I think the whistleblower did the right thing.
Today, the nation's top intelligence official came to Capitol Hill to testify about the whistleblower and the complaint. He told lawmakers he has no reason to doubt the whistleblower's intentions. In a detailed 9-page complaint, the whistleblower says senior White House officials worked to lock down all records of a presidential phone call this summer out of fear they had witnessed the president abuse his office for personal gain.
And the allegation was determined to be urgent and credible by the Inspector General. Is that right?
Yes, it was.
And if there's cover-up activity because the president is working improperly with a foreign government, that could compromise America's secrets. Is that right?
Congressman, there is an allegation of a cover-up.
According to a summary of the July 25th call released yesterday by the White House, Mr. Trump asked the president of Ukraine for a favor to look into campaign rival Joe Biden and Biden's son Hunter. Just days before, Trump froze millions in military aid to Ukraine approved by Congress. The whistleblower says White House officials were deeply disturbed and were directed by White House lawyers to remove a transcript of the call from the regular computer system and place it instead in a separate system normally reserved for classified sensitive information. He says aides saw this as an abuse of the system, but that it was not the first time they had done this to protect the president. The president today lashed out at Democrats after the hearing.
What these guys are doing, Democrats are doing to this country, is a disgrace, and it shouldn't be allowed.
The New York Times reports the whistleblower is a CIA officer. Republicans noted that he, by his own admission, was not a direct witness to most of the events described.
The whistleblower tells us the officials that I spoke with told me, and I was told that, and White House officials told me that. In other words, all of this is secondhand information.
But the acting director of national intelligence says some key details do check out.
I would say that the whistleblower's complaint is in alignment with what was released yesterday by the president.
Then why, Director, when the president called the whistleblower a political hack and suggested that he or she might be disloyal to the country, why did you remain silent?
I did not remain silent, Mr. Chairman.
It's a sad week for our country.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told Scott Pelley of 60 Minutes that this incident is now the primary focus of the House impeachment inquiry.
What message do you have for the White House regarding cooperation?
Speak truth. Speak truth. We are at a different level of lawlessness that is self-evident to the American people.
Mr. Trump did not speak publicly again about today's hearing or the whistleblower, but at a private event in New York City, he made these inflammatory statements.
The person who gave the whistleblower the information, because that's close to a spy.
In audio obtained by the LA Times, the president suggested whoever spoke to the whistleblower about his phone call with the president of Ukraine might be a traitor, even though the whistleblower claims they received the information through the course of official business. The president alluded to punishments such as imprisonment or execution.
You know what we used to do in the old days when we were smart, right? With spies and treason. We used to handle it a little differently than we do now.
With the legal and ethical questions swirling about what the president said, the issue now becomes what lines, if any, did the president cross?
The whistleblower complaint just feels to me qualitatively different.
Loyola law professor Jessica Levin says the call transcript on its own was potentially damaging, but the actual whistleblower complaint may have even more dire consequences for the president.
Americans tend to be comfortable forgiving bad behavior and comfortable forgiving scandals, but they're not great at forgiving a cover-up of the scandal. And that's essentially what the whistleblower complaint alleges. They allege knowingly and willfully trying to remove information of this telephone call, essentially from the public record.
And tonight, the Washington Post is reporting Democrats are tentatively planning to have a vote on articles of impeachment around Thanksgiving, but so far there is no official word from Democratic leadership. I'm Tom Waite in the Satellite Center. Back to you.
All right, Tommy, thanks. Former acting CIA Director Michael Morrell told CBS Evening News anchor Norah O'Donnell tonight the attempt to lock down the transcript of the phone call may be problematic.
The computer that the whistleblower says it was moved to is for the most sensitive information in the United States government. It's for CIA covert action information. There wasn't anything close in the summary to putting it in there.
So does that suggest there was a cover-up?
Yes, if that happened, if that indeed happened.
Well, now to a closer look at the two men prominently featured in the whistleblower's complaint. Attorney General William Barr and President Trump's personal attorney Rudy Giuliani. Paula Reed reports.
The whistleblower singles out Rudy Giuliani as a central figure in the scandal. The president's personal lawyer is mentioned 30 times in the complaint, which cites meetings he had with at least 7 Ukrainian officials. In early August, just 8 days after President Trump's call with his Ukrainian counterpart, Giuliani flew to Madrid to meet with one of the Ukrainian leader's advisors. According to the complaint, they discussed cases the two leaders had raised. Giuliani has admitted to pressuring Ukraine to open an investigation into former Vice President Joe Biden and his son Hunter.
So you did ask Ukraine to look into Joe Biden?
Of course I did.
The whistleblower alleges, starting in mid-May, U.S. officials were deeply concerned by Giuliani's circumvention of national security decision-making and efforts to relay messages between the White House and Ukraine. President Trump defended his personal attorney Wednesday.
Rudy Giuliani's a great lawyer. He was a great mayor. He's highly respected.
Responding to the whistleblower's allegations, Giuliani said, "It is impossible that the whistleblower is a hero and I'm not, and I will be the hero." Scott Frederickson is a former independent counsel.
We've never, in the history of our country that I'm aware of, ever seen a personal attorney engage in this kind of foreign diplomacy, especially with respect to these very specific requests.
The complaint also singles out Attorney General William Barr. President Trump told the Ukrainian president Barr would reach out to discuss investigating the Bidens, but the Justice Department said the president never asked Barr to contact Ukraine.